Hey guys, how are you? This is Ishai Breslauer, your host of the CRE Shark Eye Show. I try to bring you all kind of tastes when it comes to commercial real estate or prop tech or anything. Today we have a bit of a different taste, and I want to hear all about it. We have with us Luciane Serifovic, and she's a prime prime broker and a real estate person, and she deals on a high luxury level. And I saw her profile and wanted to hear all about it. Luciane, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you so much for having me.
My pleasure. I can already picture what this conversation is going to be all about because you are dealing with the most interesting clients, and we want to hear all about it. So, you know what? Before I go on and on about it, if you could give us like a 2-minute elevator pitch about what your business is about, and then we'll start digging in. Go ahead.
Absolutely. So my name is Luciane Serifovic, and you said it right. Thank you so much. I own the first virtual luxury real estate company utilizing blockchain and accepting cryptocurrency. We've been in business for about 3 years. And what really sets us apart is that we specialize in representing high net worth individuals, sports, and entertainment clients. So was that 20 seconds? I think so.
It was well, 2 minutes usually, but it's fine. First of all, we are pretty much in a very, very similar business. We're going to talk later, but it's very, very interesting. So we'll have to dissect it piece by piece. But let's go, before we even start, let's go to take the time machine back in time a little bit, and let's hear your story. How you got into real estate? How you got into this business? How you grew into such a prominent business? Tell us.
Thank you. Thank you. I've been very blessed. I was born and raised in Brazil. I came here when I was 18 years old, and I had $200 that my parents gave me, and I didn't know how to speak a word of English. But I came straight off the boat to Astoria, Queens, and I'm very grateful. That's where it all began.
How old were
And
you?
I was 18.
18, okay.
So at that time, I really didn't know what I wanted to do and who I wanted to be, but I knew that I was living in a country where opportunities were endless. And so I had all kinds of jobs until I kind of was trying to figure out what was it that was going to help me be successful faster. And two of the jobs I had, one of them, I was working in a boutique clothing store, and this woman came in and she'll buy all the new merchandise. And I asked my manager, I said, what is it that this woman does for a living that she has all this money to buy all the new clothes? And he said she was a real estate agent. So then a friend of mine, he was 18 and he bought a brand new car and a house. And I said to myself, here I am making like minimum wage. This guy's buying cars and houses. And how is that possible? So I asked him, what is it that you do for a living? And he said he was a real estate agent. So I said, that's it. So I got my real estate license about 2 years later. And the rest is history. I started in Manhattan in the Gramercy Park area with a boutique real estate company, and then grew from agent to assistant manager, then to senior managing director, executive vice president. And the last position that I worked for someone, I was the director of international sales. And that was kind of the job of my dreams, traveling the world in private jets and meeting CEOs of luxury real estate companies, building alliance partnerships. But unfortunately, that company went out of business. So when that happened, I had a chance to really make a decision of what I wanted to do. At first, I thought, okay, let me go ahead and work for somebody else because I'm very good at what I do. So I had about 40 people that wanted to hire me. I met them all. And there were 3 things that were very important to me. And those 3 things were a very luxurious brand. 2 was tech savvy and a company that had technology to be able to innovate. And the 3rd is I wanted a leader that I looked up to, that I felt that I can learn from. And after 40 interviews, I felt like none of them had what I was looking for. And because I've always been very devoted and driven, every company I worked for, I always put that before my family. My career and my job was always the most important thing in my life. If I had to do differently, maybe I would have had a little bit more work-life balance, but, I was just very driven. And I said to myself, you know what? If I'm going to give my heart and soul into something, because I always do, why don't I do that for myself? And it was really scary because I knew nothing about being a business owner. I knew how to run wonderful real estate offices. I was a top producing manager, the top 20% in the country for NRT, which is owned, there's the same brand that owns Corcoran, Sotheby's, Coldwell Banker, Century 21. And I was very successful running offices, but owning a business was different. But I said, you know what? I don't want to be in a rocking chair regretting for the rest of my life that I never tried. And it was one of the best decisions I ever made. So 3 years ago, I launched this company and I wanted to be different. And I realized that a lot of the real estate companies are still very antiquated. And the other thing also is I realized that people want to, go to Zillow or Realtor and find listings on their own. But when you're a high net worth individual, you don't have time. And you need someone who's really going to be dedicated, devoted, passionate, and that you can trust and you can rely on to deliver results. And because I was always very driven, I felt, you know what, that's the caliber of people that I know I can deliver on my promise. And those people, they're never going to, go and put a for sale by owner on Zillow. They don't have time. They value service. And I said, I wanted a business that's sustainable. And how can I create a business that's sustainable? The top two expenses for a company is the real estate, right? Having the office space. And second is staff. So I completely eliminated the real estate. And, I still have to have an office location. It's just Department of State requirements. But if I didn't have to have one, I wouldn't. But it's essentially an office to just have meetings. It's not like you're going to a typical office that you have little desks and agents have desks. That's just old news. The company that went out of business, they had 450 agents, 10 offices, millions of dollars in rent. Every day I walk into the office and it was empty. It was me and the flies, So I said, why is all of this money being wasted? But people are very stuck in their old ways. And I wanted to be the innovation of the new way of real estate brokerage, especially on the luxury side.
Was that before COVID or post COVID? That was before.
It was exactly 1 year before
Wow.
COVID.
So
March 2019.
So you basically saw an edge in the remote opportunity and you went for it. That's amazing. I think this is great.
So every time I would tell someone I have a virtual luxury real estate company, they looked at me like I had three heads. They're like, what is a virtual real estate company? And I had to explain every time. And believe it or not, COVID was the best thing that happened for my business because a lot of agents didn't know how to operate. They don't know how to use technology. Sellers were desperate to sell their homes and, everyone was stuck in their home. And I was able to help sellers that couldn't sell with the agents that didn't have experience with technology.
Okay, so now I want to get into the depth of what the business is, okay? So first of all, you told me right before we started the podcast, you told me that you have 3 locations today. One in Manhattan, one in, what was it? One in Brooklyn, I think it was?
So it's Manhattan, Manhasset in Long Island, and one in New Jersey.
New Jersey, right. You told me New Jersey. Where in New Jersey, by the way?
Livingston.
Livingston, New Jersey. Okay. Yeah. All high-end, beautiful places, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. So do you have an office in those locations or these are also virtual locations? So
the one in Manhattan are virtual locations, but it's still an office that you can go to and utilize. So it's a very flexible office. So if I need an office for 3 days, I use it for 3 days. If I need it for 3 months, or if I want to have a conference room, that's the one in Manhattan. The one in Livingston, it's a physical office with desk, with a couple of desks, but primarily conference rooms. That one, it's true. There's no one else coming and going to the office location. And the one in Manhasset, it's also a flexible office that you can come and go. And here's the thing. I have this office. I still pay rent in all 3, but I have used maybe 3 times in 1 year, the offices.
Makes sense.
I pride myself on the fact that I help clients save time. And 90% of your search could be done virtually. And once they have kind of narrowed down to exactly what they look for, then they can see it in person. But I've sold multiple properties to clients and never stepped foot into the property.
Okay, so now if you could walk us through, like you told us the 2-minute elevator pitch is very short and very nice, but let's now dissect it. Let's now see what the inside of the business is exactly. Like how you guys do business, what type of properties, the locations, the clients, the method, the business. Like, tell us a little bit about the ins and outs of it before we get into the blockchain, etc., which is a whole different topic, which we're going to get into. But first, let's deal with the brokerage part of it.
Yes, honestly, nobody cares about blockchain and cryptocurrency. 99% of people don't care that it's a blockchain platform. But people that are in the tech space and then may have built a lot of wealth with cryptocurrency, they may want to make payments through crypto, but it's so minimum. I thought it was going to be the next biggest thing, but nobody cares. What they truly care about is really having a remarkable experience. And that's really who we are. So I think the best comparison to understand who we are as a brand is we are, the cream of the crop, elite of the elite. We are the, Four Seasons, Ritz-Carlton of real estate. So primarily when we get a very high net worth individual that's looking to purchase or to sell, we just help them with real estate as the first step, right? That's where we start the relationship. But then it doesn't stop there. It's actually where it begins. We have clients that need to buy a car because they're relocating and they're just coming from Canada to the US. So we help them buy cars. I've had clients that wanted to sell their yacht. We help them identify and help sell their yacht, identify a buyer. If a client wants to get their working visa, we help clients get their work visa to be able to live and work in the US legally. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. There isn't something that we are not willing to do to make our clients happy. And it's a different mindset, right? Because most people, they're very transactional. They just want to help get the sale done, get their commission and move on. We go above and beyond for that. I have a listing that I've helped the client completely renovate the kitchen before we put on the market, staging, everything. And I think that's what is different is because when you're dealing with ultra high net worth individuals, they expect more. And with our firm, we provide more resources. So an example, I've helped multiple athletes and celebrities, and they have a team of people. So we come along with the team and we'll help them from start to finish. So an example was a baseball player for the Mets, another baseball player for the Yankees. They're relocating, he's training, doesn't have time to look at properties. I deal with the team, the wife, the business manager, show them properties virtually and help them with everything. The only thing they have to do is show up with the luggage. And, I don't know one real estate company that does what we do. And, so that's kind of the essence and the uniqueness of the brand. And virtual makes it all easier because I was doing virtual with these athletes already anyways. So this was kind of helping the average person that may not be a celebrity, but is a high net worth individual who's busy and want to see properties without actually being there first.
But you know what? It sounds to me like it's a full turnkey concierge service for the high ultra net worth individuals. And here's the question. In order to do that, it sounds to me, at least from here, from listening to this whole story, that you need pretty much of a support staff in order to get this done. Can you tell us a little bit about the staff that you've built around you and the type of services and how you use them and how you manage them, et cetera, especially in this setting that you have, which is offices and all kind of places that are remote for the most part, and you have different locations, and then you have this, very special service, and you have so much management under there. So tell us about that.
Absolutely. So listen, I knew that if I'm going to help somebody buy a private jet, that I cannot be a private jet expert and also a luxury real estate expert. So what I did is I identified the best, most successful and knowledgeable, trusted service provider for each field, and we created an alliance partnership. So an example, I had a client that wanted to sell his private jet. I have a partner that he will look in the sky and he knows how many miles the tank of gas of fuel for that jet will take, how much it costs, and he can have already a pool of buyers to sell the jet, and someone that I trust, and we work together. So that's how you do it. You find the best in the field for each market. And the same thing with the yachts, the same thing with the cars. And we work together, and, and I'm kind of the conduit to get that done. I have 2 personal assistants that helps me and a team of 10 real estate agents. So that's how we operate right now. And we're still a growing company. We're just 3 years in the business. And we also don't work with massive amounts of people. When you work with ultra high net worth, you don't need to have hundreds and hundreds of transactions. You do it's more quality over quantity.
You know something, Luciane, I'm listening to all this and it's so exciting, but there's a big question here. Meaning once you started your own firm, and today it sounds like you're hopping and popping and all that, but the big question is, how do you get to those clients? It's because you dealt with them then, it's because you built a Rolodex, it's because, meaning today, okay, you have them, but in the very beginning, in order to get to those type of guys, especially athletes and celebrities, which there are like 5 million gatekeepers, you have to like break into the door and get it, from the window, and have a connection with the assistant, and you know better than anyone else. Give us the secret sauce.
That's a great question, because what I always say is the number one reason why anyone, real estate, of course, but I think any business, why they fail is they don't know how to generate leads. And if every single person knows how to generate leads, everyone will be successful. And that's always the secret sauce. I've been in the business for now 20 years. And when I started my company, I had 0 clients. I had, over the years, connected with people, and every event I went to, I saved their contacts. So essentially for 15 years, I was a machine of saving contacts, although I wasn't using them, right? So every event I went to, I'll meet people and I'll save. I made sure that I had the first name, last name, email, and phone number. And I was very organized. I'm a Virgo. I don't know if that means anything, but we're perfectionists. And I did that for 15 years because I don't know why. I just knew one day I may need it. And so I've been saving those contacts for 15 years. Did I do a good job? Absolutely not, because I wasn't an agent. So people wouldn't come to me to sell their home because they knew I wasn't the one doing it. But what I did do was build my personal brand. And I had a friend of mine. She was I think a marketing director at Apple. And then she also worked with me at Douglas Elliman, because that's one of the firms I worked at. And she said to me, maybe like 10 years ago or 8 years ago, I'm not 100% sure. But she said to me, she said, Luciane, who do you want to be? And I said, what do you mean? I'm already who I want to be. She said, really? She said, at the time I was a director of rentals. She said, really? Is that what you want? And I said, well, let me think about it. I said, I don't know, maybe not. I said, I think I want to be the CEO of Douglas Elliman, or maybe I want to be a CEO of my own company. She said, that's interesting. So she was, by the way, she was very young. I think she was 22, but she's brilliant. She's still one of my best friends today. And she said, you know what? She said, if you want to be a CEO, what are you doing to build your brand to be a CEO? And I said, what do you mean by that? She said, well, you have to build your personal brand. I said, what's building a personal brand? She said, well, look at all the other women that are at the level you are now. She said, who do you look up to? I said, Barbara Corcoran, my boss, Dottie Herman, who I loved working with. And she said, look at them, you know, and she said, look at also Sheryl Sandberg, the COO of Facebook. And they all had something extremely similar. They all had a personal brand. They had their own voice. They had their own website. They had their own logo. And they were thought leaders. And so I started to build my brand then. I hired a PR firm. I hired a copywriter, photographer. Beautiful. And I started building my brand at that time when I was still an employee, just in case if one day I wanted to be a CEO.
What a beautiful story.
Thank you. Yeah. So it's been long coming, and I built my brand. I built my reputation, and I am very blessed to be very creative. And I think one of my superpowers are I have a critical eye and I can improve things, but I also have great ideas to be different. Mm-hmm. And basically I started building, and I just had a sales meeting with my team, and I told them I have 4 different versions of who I am as a person. And I have Luciane 1.0, 2.0, 3.0. I'm version 4.0 right now, you know, and each person had its unique branding. And now I have my unique brand as, you know, this powerhouse celebrity broker that owns a luxury real estate company. But that helped me. And then once I launched, I am very consistent with advertising, marketing, and networking. And I think networking has been the biggest piece that has helped me get to the celebrities. It was people, once they know you have a mission and you have a purpose, they will help you. And that's what I did. I would tell people I'm the CEO and founder of a virtual luxury real estate company, helping celebrities, sports entertainment clients. So people started introducing me to other people. And then I started going to galas, red carpet events, and building those relationships. It has not been easy. There's still millions of people out there that could still become my client. But it started with one. And then I helped one athlete, one baseball player, for the Mets, and then he referred me to multiple players because he was so impressed with the service that I provided. And I think that's how it begins with most people. But when I did it, I was so passionate about it because I said, I know that your goal is to win in the field. I know how important it is for you to train. I want to take everything else out of your plate, you know, and I did it with so much passion that people, they want to do business with people that are passionate, and they want to do it. Yeah, they really do. And you know, what's beautiful, they were my first clients, and they went to their anniversary to a winery, him and his wife. And while there, they sent me 2 of their favorite bottle of wine. I mean, that's to show you, like, nobody goes to their anniversary winery and remember their broker, you know? But if you are passionate and you do an excellent job for people, then you start getting referrals after referrals. And most of my business now is referrals and social media.
Wow. Beautiful development. And I want to shift gears a little bit. When we started the conversation here, the first thing you said was blockchain. Okay. Let's touch that a little bit, because I'm obviously part of what I talk about is obviously commercial real estate for the most part, less of the residential part, but the luxurious part was very intriguing to me. But I'm definitely very involved in prop tech, and I want to hear everything that got you into the blockchain scene. Okay, whether it's crypto or the base of blockchain, which is the tech of blockchain, and how is it related to the properties that you basically sell for people who want to live in, for the most part, meaning those type of properties are not properties for investment for the most part. These are not an ROI or return on equity per se types of investments. You don't look at the IRR. You don't look at all these things that you look at commercial real estate. You want to have them because you want to live in them and have a great life. That's why people have them. So what is the deal with the blockchain end? And tell us all about it.
The reason why I wanted to get involved with blockchain was because I knew it's the future. So I wanted to be in early to understand it. But the main reason was really to protect people, right? Because when I found out that when you put things to the blockchain platform, you're essentially, it's encrypted, and there's no way for people to steal things and to break through what typically happens if somebody's using email as an example. And I felt if I'm going to represent high net worth individuals, what is the safest way and software that will be able to protect them? And that was the main reason why I wanted to start. And because it was also, honestly, the biggest buzzword at the time, and that would help me with the branding. But the crypto also, Bitcoin was the only one that was really popping back then. And I wanted to, and I had a very good friend of mine who made about $43 million in Bitcoin. And I wanted to give him a solution to be able to buy with his Bitcoin and not have to transfer back to cash. So I had identified a developer that was willing to sell the property with cryptocurrency. And he had Bitcoins, $43 million worth. And he bought a house for about $1 million. He ended up not buying the apartment as an investment, but that's how we all began. Unfortunately, there's not enough interest. And also in Manhattan, there's about 25 people involved in a real estate transaction. It's a lot different than commercial. There's so many moving parts. And lawyers are their biggest piece that has not allowed blockchain and to evolve in the real estate brokerage industry and the real estate industry, residential primarily, because lawyers they're very transactional based. They have a lot of transactions. They don't want to learn something new. And they have been the biggest barrier to get people to adapt and use these type of platforms that are going to make the entire experience faster and easier and better. Does that answer your question?
It does in a way, but here's the thing. I want to focus a little bit. So I want to go back to the security aspect of blockchain, which I'm very familiar with. But is there any specific company? I understand they use the brand. It's also a buzzword. I agree with that. That's the future with 100%. But is there a company that you use or you own when it comes to the blockchain security part of things? I understand crypto is the transactional.
Yes, absolutely. So I was the first real estate brokerage in New York City that partner up with Proppy. That's the software that was encrypted, that has blockchain and the component of accepting crypto payments. I wasn't going to build something from scratch, right? Because one thing that I learned, because I know a lot of people in the tech space, is sometimes you're better off getting something off shelf as opposed to building something from scratch. So I identified the only and best solution at the time to partner up and have the transactions through the platform. I
got it. And the security level, I'm assuming this is something because it's still evolving. This is that technology.
It's still evolving, and a lot of lawyers don't want to use it. They just feel like, I don't know it, I don't understand it. When people hear the word blockchain, they get scared because they don't know enough about it.
Right, that's true. That's true. They think it's.
But listen, the same thing was think about DocuSign, right? When it first came out, everyone was afraid of it. They felt uncomfortable. Is this legal? And look, everyone is using DocuSign. It takes time for adoption. And I think it will evolve with time.
It's a market education process. I agree with that. Tell us a little bit about, let's go to something fun, to talk about something a bit fun. And tell us a little bit about, the type of most luxurious homes that you have brokered and their story and their, the whole, like the ins and outs of it, as much as you can. Obviously, there's discretion.
Yes, of course. I'll share the one that I could, because that one he didn't care and he wanted to leverage his name. So I just sold the penthouse for the former CEO of HBO. It was a property on East 12th Street. It was a 4 floors penthouse. And that apartment was on the market with another brokerage for 2 years. And they couldn't sell it. And part of the reason why it wasn't sold was, a lot could have been done better, but also the apartment needed a lot of work. And it was 6,500 square feet, so it was bigger than a townhouse. And because of COVID and the prices of materials and the lack of materials being available, everyone was extremely afraid of getting into renovation. So I was showing it, and the apartment was so large that people would get lost in it and they got confused. And a confused mind doesn't buy. And let me tell you, the former CEO of HBO said to me, he said, Luciane, you have run a few marathons in this apartment because it would take at least an hour to show, you know?
How much square foot there was?
What?
How much square foot was the apartment?
6,500.
Wow.
6,500 plus 1,500 outdoor. There were 2 terraces. So long story short,
of course you get lost. Of course, obviously. Go ahead.
So he bought the 6th floor, the 7th floor, built the 8th floor, and it was a rooftop terrace. But everyone was afraid. They just felt like this is too much renovation because everything was outdated. He built it in the 80s, but it was a spectacular place, and I was in love with it. And I think, you know, you need to fall in love with what you're selling because you need to sell. And so long story short, I realized that people just got confused, and the owner had 2 deeds to this property. So the 6th floor was one deed and the 7th floor was another deed. So we creatively decided to sell it separately. So we now are listing the apartment separately, and that was the magic trick. I mean, the moment that we split it, and now it was 4,800 square feet instead of 65, they no longer had to look at the 6th floor. And we had multiple offers. There's one gentleman in particular that had submitted the highest offer, and he wasn't 100% sold. But I saw it in his eyes. He was someone in the tech space. He owns a tech firm, and they essentially build technology to sell. And but I saw it in his eyes that he appreciated the uniqueness of it. And he had a big family. There's nothing out there with this much square foot that he can, one of the bedrooms was so large, he can make it into 2, even 3. And I basically, he said, no, he didn't want it. And I followed up with him at least 5 times, and I convinced him to buy. So,
good for you. Amazing.
Yeah. One of the things he said, he sent me a message. He said, when we closed, he said, you know, the reason why I bought this apartment was your salesmanship. It was because I convinced them, you know. But sometimes you see that they want it, but they need a little push, you know. And I basically explained to him that apartment was extremely undervalued for what it is because of how unique it is. But because it needed work, you know, he can probably sell it for double later, you know. But he would have to go through the process of not renovating. And the other thing is, I also prepared myself by identifying other homes that sold for a lot higher and other penthouses that sold for a lot higher that were renovated. And I would highlight, look, this is priced right. And we priced right. There's also the magic of pricing something and not overpricing it. Because people are not stupid. You know, they know what something's worth. And there are times that I may get a professional appraiser to have a backup to what the apartment is worth.
100%. Luciane, listen, I'm enjoying this conversation. Sorry.
Oh my God, it's already 10:40.
Yeah,
wow.
I'm enjoying this conversation very much. And I just want to focus on one thing because you have to go to Connecticut, you said, and I don't want to keep you there. So let's do the following. You guys can see the links above and below, especially those of you who want something unique, something beautiful, something, and you have deep pockets and you have a certain type of requirements in terms of the services. You have the right person right here to help you out, as you probably could hear. Luciane, tell everybody how they can find you, what the best way.
Thank you so much. You can go to our website. It's theluxian.com, TheLuxian.com, or you can actually call my cell phone, 917-567-8767. You know, our mission is to create remarkable experiences and to sell the most luxurious homes all over the world. And I forgot to mention, we actually sell internationally too. I sold something recently in Cascais, Portugal,
Wow.
which is like the Hamptons of Portugal. And I'm actually going to speak in Portugal October 20th at a real estate conference with about 600 real estate agents. So I'm excited about that. But anyone can go to our website or call me, text me anytime. And I'm very grateful for the opportunity to be here and to be of service.
Beautiful. Tell me something. Also, LinkedIn, are you, because we found each other on LinkedIn. So LinkedIn also, so you guys can see the links. And Luciane, thank you so much for being with us. Stick around for a minute. And you guys, I just want to tell you, I hope you enjoyed it. I enjoyed it very much. Luciane, thank you again.
Thank you.
No problem. And you guys, I'm going to see you